normally in the mainstream media, what we get is lies upon lies upon lies, right? And, we never really get the truth of anything. And in the case of Israel, it's always lie after lie after lie, and they just parody whatever they say. They say, "Oh, Israel said they didn't do it. Well, they didn't do it. Israel says they're doing the right thing. Well, Israel's doing the right thing." They say that killing Palestinians is good. Okay, well, killing Palestinians is good. That's what they do, and you rarely ever get the truth. You rarely ever get both sides of the story, or even just anything at all about the story except for the mainstream position, which is often the the wrong position to have, right? And so Ali Velshi from MSNBC or MSDNC, because they're in the pocket of the Democratic Party and the Democratic National Committee and the Democratic establishment. Anyway, he decided to tell the truth on Israel and on Palestine, and I think it's a great video. Watch this.
Israel has a right to exist and to defend itself. That is an indisputable fact. But so do Palestinians, and that's a fact that's often ignored. Palestinians are, at best, third-class citizens in the nation of their birth. The idea that it's even remotely controversial to call what Israel has imposed on Palestinians a form of apartheid is laughable. One look at a current map of Israel, Gaza, and the occupied territories conjures up only one other example: apartheid-era South Africa. The Israeli government, on an ongoing basis, declares parcels of land on which Palestinians live to be either of military or archaeological importance, causing residents to be evicted. Sometimes there's a court case, and almost always the Palestinians lose. Yet months or weeks later, that same important land suddenly becomes home to a brand new Israeli settlement. As more and more Jewish settlers take over land on which Arabs live, the occupied West Bank becomes de facto more Israeli and, in the explicit hopes of the Israeli government, more Jewish. This is a long-standing attempt and a deliberate attempt to force Arabs who have lived in that land, sometimes for hundreds of years, out. It's an attempt to dilute their presence, because to have Arabs as full participants is, in the opinion of the Israeli government and their courts, diluting Israel. Just prior to the pandemic, I toured many of the contested areas and homes from which Arabs are being pushed out, both in Israel proper and in the occupied territories. Palestinians don't control the important parts of their lives. Palestinian families are refused permits to build or renovate their homes. When they connect their homes to the municipal water supply, Israeli soldiers sometimes cut the pipes. When they attempt to harness solar energy because their homes are not on the grid, Israeli soldiers literally come and remove solar panels from their homes. I spent an hour and a half traveling alongside an elderly Palestinian woman who was being transferred between 3 ambulances from Gaza to the no man's land in between and then into Israel to get cancer treatment. 3 ambulances over the course of 1 mile, more than an hour to cross the border. That's how Gazans live. Without medical treatment because Israel prevents it. Without electricity much of the time because Israel prevents it. Without the ability to fish in the Mediterranean Ocean because Israel prevents it. Without an airport or a seaport because Israel prevents it. Like Israelis, Palestinians also have a right to exist and to defend themselves. But there is no one willing to help them do that. Not the Israeli courts and not the U.S. government. What the U.S. also shares with Israel is the belief that Hamas, the political party that governs Gaza, is a terrorist organization that calls for the destruction of Israel. Hamas is supported by the majority of Palestinians in Gaza. Hamas may not be in the best long-term interests of the Gazans, but peace hasn't really worked out for them. Faced with an Israeli government which pens them into what has been called the world's largest open-air prison, they have chosen a government that most of us wouldn't prefer. One that is not given to negotiation and moderation and respect for its neighbor. Israel needs a new approach to the Palestinians, and America needs a new approach to Israel. After more than 7 decades of not just being deprived of land from which they were evicted, Palestinian frustration runs deep. It may be worth going deeper than what you may hear inside your bubble and understanding the depth to which the Palestinian people are subject to apartheid in their own land, deprived of basic necessities, and subject to relentless civil rights violations. This is not a secret. It's out there for you to see. You just have to look for it.
Okay, so you heard him there. And I as I just said, I think it's a good thing that he finally said it. I think it's about time that he finally said it. Because, like, when we talk about Israel and Palestine, we're always just thinking, because see, right now, we don't get objective storytelling of this conflict. We don't get objective reporting on the entire conflict. Because a lot of people who don't pay attention to politics, right? Those of you who watch my channel a lot know that this is not just something that, oh my God, that just started right now. This has been going on for decades, over 50 years, right? And, we can talk about the occupation, the evictions, the cleansing, ethnic cleansing, the genocide, the killings, all of that. But a lot of people don't know that kind of history. They just know what the news is talking about today, right now. That's all they know. They don't know anything else. They think everything is fine. And it's just a conflict of today. Well, that's not actually the case, right? And I think this here, look, I think Ali Velshi did a good job, and he's telling objectively both sides. Because right now they're just telling objectively what's going on in the conflict right now. That's all they're doing. Now, I've been always studying up on what's a two-state solution. So basically, people argue, for those that don't know, about a two-state solution, meaning we have the Jews and we have the Muslims, and we have one state belongs to one belongs to the other. One capital could go from Tel Aviv, and then Trump moved it to Jerusalem, lit the Middle East on fire, in flames, and all of that, right? And right? So I've always thought of a two-state solution, and I've thought it was an amazing idea, or a good idea at least, just to try and keep the peace. But then I realize now that's a farce. It's a ruse. It's not true. It's fake. It's not real. Because it's just a distraction tactic, a talking point. Because here's the thing, the two-state solution dialogue is for Israel. It's basically to get people talking and keep people talking about, oh my God, there could be a solution, there could be a resolution to this, there could be a compromise of having a two-state solution and having a two-state solution where everybody can get along, and we can have people, who we can have a separate state and everything can be peaceful. It's just a talking point so that for Israel to continue its slow ethnic cleansing, because that's what they're doing. They're doing this slow ethnic cleansing, and by having everyone talking about a two-state solution, everyone forgets about that ethnic cleansing, and so they're slowly moving at the Palestinians, moving, and they're slowly moving in the Jews, and that's why there's all these conflicts, and then it distracts, and then the people don't know the real history because the media does a terrible job. And so I don't think the two-state solution is a good idea now that I've been studying this. And I admit this conflict has taught me that. Because, it's just the fact that we're allowing Israel to do what it does, and then we're coming up with a talking point so that everyone just talks about that and not the ethnic cleansing that's going on, is stupid. And so the two-state solution is false. It's fake. It ain't real. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because they don't want it to happen. So, and it shouldn't happen. So then people are going to say, okay, what the hell do we do now? Right? Well, there's one solution. It's called, we just live in a one-state, multicultural solution where we have one democratic state, everybody kind of living together in democracy and freedom. And yeah, I could be talking a bunch of nonsense, right? Flowery language, but I'm serious. We could have it where, we don't have, okay, well, this is the areas for the Jews, this is the area for the Muslims, this is the area for the Buddhists, none of that. We just have one state, no matter where you live, anybody can live anywhere, regardless of anything that's going on, right? Like, that's what should be the case, right? Because, now, see, The Jews are going to argue, oh my God, but then we're going to be outnumbered by, because they argue this, well, we're going to be outnumbered by the Palestinians or by the Arabs, and we don't want to have that. We don't want to be outnumbered. And look, we have to recognize, because they're trying to say, oh my God, we've been persecuted too much, which they have, and we have to recognize that they have been persecuted and prosecuted and viciously, and there is anti-Semitism, and we need to pay attention to the fact that there is anti-Semitism and get rid of it. We don't need the anti-Semitism, and if you're about anti-Semitism, get out. So we understand that there is a problem there, but saying that we should have a Jews-only state is like saying, okay, well, because that's the thing, is that Benjamin Netanyahu is just trying to cleanse Palestine of Palestine, right? Of the Palestinians, get all the Muslims out and get the Jews in. That's what we've been going over this whole week and last week, in a sense. Everybody else. So I'm starting. But anyway, so this is a problem, because this gives everybody the right to say, okay, well, the Buddhists can say, well, we just want a Buddhist state. White people can say, well, we just want to create a white state. And they do, by the way, they do. We just want to create a white state. That's all we want. And then the black people can go, oh, well, we just want to create an all-black nation. We want to be black nationalists. And then, you can get other religions to say, well, we just want it to just be us. We just want a state to just be all controlled by us. Like Catholicism, right? I'm Catholic. We could say, you know what? We just want this whole world. I don't give a damn. We just want this whole world to be Catholic. I don't care about anybody else. I don't care about any of your religions. As long as you're Catholic, I don't give a damn. That just gives everybody to say the same thing, and it makes no sense. It really doesn't. So, instead, we gotta be supportive of freedom. We have to be supportive of democracy. We have to be supportive of people and making sure that people are supported, and that we do have a multicultural system, not just a one-state system, right? And people say, well, how do we get this conflict to stop, right? Because see, here's the thing: a good president right now, because Joe Biden's a dummy, he's a terrible ass president. A good president would say, okay, you know what? We're going to stop all aid to Israel, all arms, all everything. Second, we're going to sanction Israel. And thirdly, we're going to take away all subsidies that we give to Israel. All $38 billion in subsidies. And by the way, all $3.8 billion in subsidies that we give them in defense money. We're going to take all that away. And you're gonna have to stop doing what you're doing. And by the way, we're gonna put the requirement that you can't kill Palestinians. You can't remove them. You can't, because you can't do any of the evictions. You can't do any of the ethnic cleansing. You can't do any of the genocides. You can't go into mosques and raid them and kill a bunch of people. No, we don't want that. It's not going to happen. Now, you and I, we could have a good relationship or we can have a bad relationship. And if we're going to have a good relationship, then you have to abide by international law. And you have to get rid of your settlements that you're not allowed to build according to international law. That's how we're going to have a good relationship. And if you don't, I'm the world superpower. I'm the president of the United States. I lead everybody else. Okay? I will have everybody else go against you. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. I will. But we don't have that. We have Joe Biden and the whole United States government, Republicans and Democrats, who support international law breaking and illegal settlements and ethnic cleansing and a racist system, which is the occupation in the West Bank and of the Gaza Strip. That's what we have right now. And so I already gave you two solutions. We have a one-state solution where we can all have everybody there and everyone can just be one. And we tell Israel, you can't be killing people off anymore. You can't be doing your illegal settlements. You can't be occupying illegally. You can't be doing illegal evictions. You can't be doing ethnic cleansing. You can't be killing off a bunch of Muslims. You can't do anything like that. But we don't have that. We have Joe Biden, who's supporting Israel, who's not talking about the Palestinians. Ned Price in the State Department, who's not condemning the killing of Palestinian children. And that's all we have. So, but anyway, I'm just happy that Ali Velshi really did cover that, and I wish that he would do it a lot more. Well, just that the media would do it a lot more, because we don't ever hear that. We don't ever hear that. All we hear is, oh, well, we just want a two-state solution where only Jews can survive. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. No one should agree with that. And the media should start telling it like it is. And if we had more videos like the one I just showed you, we'd be way better off in this world.